Okay, we're getting back into wiring our Sportster here. So I worked on my different drawings here, what I'm doing. So this is our first drawing here. A real good one. Give me a rough idea what I needed for color codes and stuff. Here's a second drawing. So I got the ignition switch stuff figured out. Which goes to what? We got a battery terminal, ignition terminal, and light circuit. So these things here need to be on the ignition side. This needs to be on the lighting side over here, and obviously batteries for hot. Then we had the coil wire and generator off to the side I had to deal with. And I had to figure out what my plug was going to be over here, which is a Deutsch plug, which I didn't bring one out yet. Do one of these things. So these are Deutsch plugs. So this is what's going to go up on the side, up under here. And we'll use this basically as a terminal block. Instead of putting a terminal strip up inside here, we can't get to it. We'll put all the wires onto this, tuck it up in here, and then pipe us a hole through here for a bolt or a zip tie or something to go through to hold it up there. We'll figure that out later. So the next thing we had to do is figure out more in detail what I was going to do. So that's this sheet here. So this here is my Deutsch plug here. These basically are going to tell me what holes here are going to line up with that. So we got to figure that out. And then this here is basically the bottom of the bike here, the frame rail coming up through here basically is what this is duplicating here. So this here is the circuits that all come from the back of the bike, which is going to be back here with the brake switches under there, the horn, the battery, and the tail light, brake light going up the fender. So all of that stuff here is on this side. So this is basically going to be our main wiring harness. And then we got our generator going to pop in the middle, and we're also going to grab a point wire also. So that's going to be in the harness. So this harness here is going to have 6 wires in it, and this one here is going to have 6 wires in it also. But the generator is going to drop away, and the point wire will pick up and go up the top. And that's going to go up to a combination of the ignition switch here, which is what this duplicates, and our Deutsch plug. Because the ignition switch and Deutsch plug are right here in the same spot. So basically we're just going to have a wiring harness come up through here. Now I'm not sure what diameter harness I'm going to use. I've got this diameter here, and I've got some bigger stuff here. So we got to figure out what size wires to use. We also have some other sides there, and then we got some big stuff back over there. That's the big tubing back there. So this is all higher temperature, thick wall. It's a lot better than that convoluted split stuff. Once the wire's in here, it's protected. You have to worry about it opening up. You have to do a bunch of zip ties like they did on that crap we cut off and threw on the floor over there wherever it ran off to. Under all those boxes, the old wiring harness. Stupid crap under there. There's that convoluted tubing right back there after we cut it all apart. So I like using solid conduit because it just gives you a lot more protection. Now it looks a lot better than a big piece of convoluted tube that's stuck to your frame. This here kind of hides away a little better. Now over here we got a box of wire. That's 18 gauge and this is 20 gauge. So this one here has all the Harley colors in it, which I think is 14 different colors. So you can see how small the 20 gauge is. Pretty dinky. This is high performance wire. So I get it out of Waytech. They get the best price for good wire. Anyway, this is the high-end automotive wire, and it's got the small OD on it, but still has the big wire on the copper inside. Is still got a lot of wire on the inside. So it gives you a high, it's a high flow wire for current. It's got a really thin insulated layer there. Gotta get that to focus in on that. So it doesn't have a lot of insulation on it. So, and this is a chemical and heat resistant outer shielding, so you have to worry about it eating away. Somebody was making comments on the videos that they didn't know about my CRC here, because they use WD-40 and a different kind of CRC for lubricant for putting wires in the conduit, and they say that their wire was getting all The insulator's getting all eaten up by the chemicals. That means you have cheap ass wire that you bought at the auto parts store. It ain't worth the crap. And it won't take, it's not chemical resistant or heat resistant. This stuff here is automotive rated, which means it's for heat and chemicals. So gasoline and oil doesn't hurt it, and the heat won't hurt up to about 300 degrees. This here is the bigger wire. This is the same one here. This is our 18 gauge. You can see that's a little bit thicker. So you put the two of them here together. Yeah, you can see the size difference in the two wires there. So a little bit difference in the sizing. So things that don't need to be a lot of current through them, like tail lights, have real small wires already. You don't need to put big wires. So that's why next to my wire colors here, I put down what gauge we're going to use. Now this one here is a 16 gauge. This is a little bit cheaper quality wire. This used to be my old good wire, but this was good wire back in the 90s before I got good stuff. So this has a lot more insulation on it. So I don't know if you can tell, but the outer insulation layer is thicker. Thicker insulation means cheaper insulation. The thinner the insulation, the better it is. They have to make it thick to get the same resistance as thin stuff would be on high quality wire. Okay, so I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull out a bunch of wire, and I'm going to see what size conduit I can get 6 wires through. This one or this one. Probably going to want to be use this one. Let's see, this one over here is thinner. Yeah, that one there is thinner. So we're not using that one. So it's one of these two here. So we'll figure out which one it's going to be. Alright, I'm going to put this over here on the tripod. And everybody knows how much I like this thing. So if you can't tell what I'm doing, too bad. So I'll try to pull back enough that you kind of see what I'm doing. Basically I'm going to pull out all the different wires, get the 6 of them together, and see if I can put them into a conduit. And that'll give me an idea what I'm going to do. Alright. So the first thing we need is we're going to need one of these. Now I just take the wiring, you just go like this with it. And it goes on the floor down there like that, and I just kind of kick these out of the way so I don't trip on them. And that way I can play around with the wire what I want to do. Okay, so we got a red 16, we have a red 18, so this is our 18, I think that was 18, yep, and that one goes on the floor next to the other red. So now we got two different reds, but we can tell the difference because they're different sizes. See the difference between the 16 and the 18? It's more than just the gauge of the wires, it's that stupid insulation. You see how much thicker this insulation on this one is. Okay, then we need a tail light, brake light, which is another red. So now we're going to be using a third red, same harness. That could be confusing, but when you got 3 different gauges of red, so you got 20, 18, and 16, it's pretty easy to tell which one goes to where. Okay, we need a black 20. Keep holding in my hand, so I got 4 wires. I know I need 6. Okay, ignition switch. We got red, red. We're going to need a brown. Another 20 gauge. So I got a brown or a tan. So I'm going to go with brown because it's darker, you don't see it as much. There's that one. Okay, then we got, how come I'm only seeing 5 wires? I know there's 6 here. Brown, red, black, red, red. One, 2, 3, 4, there's only 5. 6, no, there's only 5 wires. Oh, I counted 6, I only got 5. Okay, there you go. What else am I going to need through there? So now I just got to figure out, make sure I'm not forgetting one. So we got a generator, charge our battery, we got ignition switch feed, we got a horn coming back, we got a brake, going to our brake switch, and we got a tail light. We have no idiot lights, and we have no oil pressure switch, so that should be everything. Okay. So this is all we got to work with, is these. So most of these are 20 gauge. So we got 3 20 gauge wires, which are pretty small. We got one 16 gauge here, and then one 18 gauge here. So they all get into a nice little, small little packet, which means I could probably use a small conduit. So this is our small conduit. There's a bunch of junk on the floor. Okay, so now we see if these here will fit inside of this tube. If it will fit in here relatively easily, we can run it. Now we have to pull this through probably 2 feet each time. So if it's too tight, even though I can get in right now, it'll probably lock up trying to go through it. So you're going to make it within reason. So this is fitting in here, but it's a tight squeeze. And once you start getting it in there, it'll be tight. So you can see how the tubing's kind of blown up right here and a little bit smaller here. So that is too tight. So we can't use this one. This one here was an odd size 224 diameter. That's thousands. This one's 5/16, which is 312 diameter. Thought I had some 1/4 inch floating around somewhere, but that's what this one here was supposed to be. 234, close to 5/16. Okay, this is our next size, which is going to be really big. We've got plenty of room in here. Alright, see, that goes right in real simple. See how easy that goes in there? We got room for probably 3 more wires in this one. So we need one in between, but we got what we got. Alright. So now we know what we got. So you can see all the spools just laying down here on the floor. Just kick them all out of the way. And if we need more wire, we just pull on it. And when you pull on the rolls, just roll on the floor and you get more wire off without having a problem doing it. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap this around here right now to hold that. I just wrap this around the foot peg right here to kind of hold it there. That way I can go get the conduit out. Okay, now I got to figure out how I'm going to route the conduit on the bike. So, lay that over there. Okay, so now down here we got to have a big conduit. Up here I'm not sure the size, but we'll figure that out. Okay, now this one here we're going to want to go basically up to where the ignition switch is going to be, is up here. Whoop. Now I don't want to come down this right frame rail because we got an exhaust pipe right here that comes out, so we want to come off the left one. So we want to run this all the way from the left side here and just shove it up in the frame pretty far. And we want this to come through here and then work our way down through the bottom of the bike here. So I just got the conduit here. I'm running along to the back of the bike. Now back here I can get away from the chain and the brake lever assembly, so it's going to go underneath the frame, come back around, and come up the tube there a little bit so I can zip tie it up there and hold it up flat out of the way. So probably something in this vicinity for length here. Gave myself an extra inch just in case. I had my dikes out earlier. What did I do with them? There we go. buried under the instruction sheet. Okay, so go ahead and clip this off. Okay, now we go ahead and poke it into the frame and make sure it's going to be how you want to actually route it. Remember, you got exhaust pipes and other stuff coming through here. We got oil lines, so you got to make sure you got a good routing. You want to make sure you stay above the frame rail. If you get below the frame rail, it'll chop the wire in half. That would be a bad thing. Okay, it goes up that side over there. Going right along the frame and the oil pump. Snake it up here around the motor mount here. Come up the inside of the rail over here. And we got enough to get up the frame rail up here. Okay, see there? Make sure our we can see it. So our conduit's up here. You make sure that fits all the way up in there, tucked up where you want it to be. You have no tight spot anywhere, it's going to cause a problem. You go on the other side of the bike and look on the back where the wire comes up by the battery. Make sure it's in a good spot. Yep, it'll be alright. So I got a couple inches of float either direction. I can float it back and forth for now, if I want to. Okay. Now somewhere I'm going to cut this to have the generator wire come out. We also have to have the point wire come out. That'd be this ugly red thing here. We're going to get rid of that. So I was going to use a nice pink wire like this. Maybe I got some other color I can use. So it looks like I got a tan wire and a gray wire I can use instead of pink. So there we can just use pink. Hot pink, look good. So that's going to come around to the back of the generator here. Distributor. Run behind the push rod covers, go underneath the generator, and we'll come out over here where we're going to splice into this conduit we just put in right here. Because we got to pick up this wire at some point. I don't like running up through here because it gets in the way of the carburetor when you work on the carburetor, and I don't like all that heat right there. I'd rather go up over the top. Go over the top frame, come down the frame tube, and then come back down. It's a longer way of doing it, but it's less chance of damaging the wire and having a problem. So I like that way. Alright, so now I got to figure out what color we want to use. Now, we want to make sure we're not going to duplicate any of these colors over here that we already got out. So, it appears we are not using a gray wire anywhere. We're also not using a tan wire, and we're definitely not using a pink wire. So, which one of these three colors is going to look best on a chopper? It's not a girl's bike, so that leaves these two. Gray probably hides better than all of them. I think we'll go with gray. So we're going to use gray, it's going to be our wire. So that's going to come off our distributor right here. And that's going to go across the generator and then poke up and go back up here all the way around to the coil way on the other side. Now, you got to feed the wire from one of two directions, either from the distributor side all around to our coil, or come back around the other way. So, I'm going to leave it off the distributor side, so I can always pull more wire up in the harness if I need it to get all the way to the coil. Or if I don't have enough, I got too much, I can pull it back. I don't like running an extra couple feet out of the end and cut it all off. It's just a waste of wire. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now at some point we're going to splice that in over here. So we got to figure out where we're going to do that at. So somewhere over in this area here I want to do it. Now it's just a matter, do I want to do it underneath the motor mount, right up on top of here, or do I want to do it more underneath here, more out of the way? Now you got to remember we got a wire coming off our generator coming down, so we're not sure which way we can go. There's a regulator somewhere around here. Here's our regulator. So that red wire there's going to be our one that's coming off. So we'll go ahead and lay this up over here and see where this is going to be mounted. So this is going to be over here. These are going to go underneath, and that other wire is going to be coming right down the front of the generator right here. So that means we're going to be somewhere down here. Or I can slit the tube here a little bit and run it down the back side of the generator underneath, where you won't see it as much, and come in down low under here, which is more hidden. I kind of like the hidden method better. So that means I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing somewhere down in here. So I'm thinking about right about this area here. So you come out a little bit. We'll go ahead and take a little pie cut out of here. So you do a 45-degree that way. Yeah, it's hard to do when it's stuck in here. Pull that out. Okay, now I got more access. And I do another pie cut this way. Once again at the 45-degree point. Boom. Okay, so I took this little piece out of the conduit here. And it's hard to see that. It's a little triangle piece. Obviously that opens up, you got to double that. So when you look at your conduit, you have a hole in it down here. This is not coming out. There it goes. Oop. So there's your hole right here. So we're going to be pulling the wire out and putting the wire in. That's why I put such a big hole in it, so I get access to do it. Okay, now you got to load this all up with a wire here, which is all these. But this comes out on the other side of the bike over there, so we need to drag this across the other side of the bike. So all the wires will be coming out that side over there, so we can do all this. And this all has to be stuck in here too. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and start jamming it in here. Now one advantage having a big piece of conduit like this is this jams pretty easily. And you want to try to keep your wire straight and not have a bunch of twisting in it. That definitely helps. Right now I'm doing it dry with no lubricant, which is starting to get kind of hard. Okay, I think the wires are about right here. No, not yet. Yeah, they're close, they're right here. Okay, they're just starting to come out in the hole right here. So we want to find a large red wire. So that'll be this big thick one here. So I want to kind of see that through the hole here. Let me get my pick tool. Alright, here's my little nose picker tool. Looks good for hooking all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I'm looking here for the big wire, which I do not see yet. So go ahead and pull through a little bit further. Still do not see it. Give another 1/4 inch worth. And I'm seeing a bunch of reds, but not the red I'm looking. Okay, there's the other red. Okay, the one I want is way, way in the back side, it figures. It'd be nice if it was on this side, but it didn't work out that way. I'll try twisting this and see if I can get that to move a little bit. And as usual, they don't move much, but it moved a little bit because here it is right now coming up. So just take this in here like that, get behind it, pull that one out, and there you go. You grab your roll of wire and make sure that's the same wire that we just pulled. See how they match? So that means this is the same wire, because we can't check it right now. Okay, so we're going to have this one just going out. We're going to keep pushing these through the other side. And now we have to also pick up our gray wire. Now this is starting to get kind of hard, so it's time to put a little lubricant in here. Probably wouldn't hurt if I did that earlier, but I was hoping I didn't have to. So I put a little lube in there. I don't like lube because it makes my fingers all gooey. Okay, I need to drop away from this one red wire. Quick push in that one, so I'll get that out of my way. That makes it a lot easier. See, I stuck the wire, pulled it out, stuck it right here in the back side, so it's out of my way. Now I'm just pushing these 4 other ones in. Okay, now we want to pick up our gray wire, which is this one. I want to add this into the group. So we just stick in the hole there and start shoving it through. Looks like this one's going to go through pretty quickly on its own. Yeah, it already popped out. Okay, go back down here. Go ahead and push these other ones through. Keep that one out of the way. Just push them through it a little easier. Now they got the lube in there. I'm only doing a 1/2 inch at a time here, if even that much. Okay, right now it's getting tight, it doesn't want to go anymore. So you go down here, just kind of squeeze the conduit, wiggle around a little bit. At some point you'll feel a tight spot, but if nothing else, you're rearranging how the wires are. You try it again. If it doesn't work this way, we have to put a wire through there, usually a piece of safety wire. Wrap it around the end of the wire and pull it through. But I shouldn't have to do that with this one here. There's enough clearance on this tube, it should go through pretty easy. Wouldn't be the first time I said I'd have to pull it though. It's about a 1/4 inch at a time. It's starting to free up though. It's tight though. If you try to push too much wire, then all it does is fold up on you, put the kink in it, and that kink gets worse as you go in the harness. And see, I'm getting the wires, I keep them flat all the way down so they can go in the same way. So if you have them all twisted up, it just makes them bigger diameter and jam up more. Okay, go ahead and work this a little bit. Make sure it's all free. Try it again. Oh, that gave a 1/2 inch real quick there when I did that. It gets tight again. The wires are about in this area here. We got about 6 more inches to go. Definitely protesting. Kind of jiggle them around, get them freed up. Each time I do that, it moves a 1/2 inch real quick, and then it gets tighter. Starting to go a little easier. Whoop. Of course, then it quits moving again. Okay, we're starting to come out the other end now. See right there. Okay. Let's see, how many are out? Here, that many. Okay, we got 4 and 5. Wipe off the excess lube, we don't need that. Okay. Now you can pull off extra wire because we still have all the rolls down here. So if you think you need a little extra, pull extra. I don't like having more than about 6 inches of extra, it just makes a mess. And that's plenty of extra space usually for what you need to do. Now the gray wire needs to go to the ignition switch, and so does this one red wire, which is the bigger one of the two, this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these two here, a little extra. That kind of also tells me they're ignition switch wires, not the other ones. So it's a way of identifying. You got 3 short ones and 2 long ones. Okay, and in the middle down here we have our generator wire, and here's our ignition wire. So the generator wire could be pulled back this way to make it shorter, and obviously the point wire can be pulled back or pulled forward because it's up in the front part of the harness here. So we got flexibility on our lengths, so that way you don't waste a bunch of wiring by doing it. Now all of this has to be jammed through the whole bike over here underneath the bike to get the harness where it's actually going to sit on this side. So I'll go ahead and do that off camera because it'll be hard to see me. I'll be on the other side of the bike and fishing it through the frame just like I had to fish it through here. So these rolls of wire are going to get pushed around to the other side is what's going to happen. And this one actually is going to get kind of in the way. This one will be hard to do, so we're going to do this. Oh, it's out of the way. It went in easy anyway, so it doesn't matter. This one here is going to be kind of a pain too, so we'll go ahead and pull this back a little bit. So, we'll just pull off some of the excess. So get that to more of a usable length over here. See, obviously we can pull it back or forward, whatever we need. There, so I pulled out the excess. So now I can fish this through the frame a lot easier. And we only have these here. And I'm going to use this big long one to start the fish, and these other 3 ones behind you. Now you can tape these together if you want, but I don't like using tape, it just makes them gooey. Okay, and then on the floor, we got our mess on the floor down here. And so I'll pick up all these spools, throw them on the other side over there. Or more likely, I'll just take this piece and throw it underneath the rack and come up the other side, it'd be easier. So you keep all the rolls in one little spot, and they can, like I said, they kick around and roll real easy, so you don't have to fight it. So, all right, we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll double check my harness and make sure I get all the wires I need in there too. So, all right, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, back on the harness here. Okay, I got this harness all drug through. Put a zip tie over there lightly, just to kind of hold it up. Got it tucked up in there cleanly. Almost see where it is. So, this side here, I got a little up under there also. Ugh. So here's the harness coming out of here. Tucks into here. It's right behind the oil line right there underneath the tranny, above the frame rail, of course. Put a zip tie right there just loosely. This will keep the oil line up out of the chain right up on here also. See where my finger's at right there with the chain rub on it. It's got the factory clamp back there that holds it in. Keeps the oil line out of the way. Can't see it. Oh well. So then we got the conduit comes up the oil pump. Once again, we're above the frame rail. So there's nothing hanging under the frame. Nice and clean up under there. Got another zip tie here. We'll figure out where we're going to put it later. Got that there. And we come up through here. Oops, stuck a zip tie on the cross tube under here so I can zig it over. Now we got a clutch cable that comes down through here. It's going to come right out through the hole under here also. So I got to make sure I got that to the inside so there's room for the cable to come through here to work our clutch. And it'll be coming down this tube also. So I threw a zip tie right there down that one, and this one here just slides up at the top. We'll figure out where it's going to be and we'll tighten it up for now. We'll leave it loose in case you got to add wires or something. So I pulled this wire back out a little bit to go on the generator side. I went ahead and put the gray wire back in here for the points, got that all back in, so it's sticking out the top up here now. So getting all the loose ends figured out. So I was getting ready to do the generator, and I put the bracket up on here like it's supposed to be. And this bolt here just keeps spinning. So it's popped out over there, or it's too short. Now see how much longer this one here is? We need more length anyway. This is not the original bolt. See how it's coarse thread? This is fine thread, so they're different. So now I gotta pull this generator out to see what's going on with that. So that's where I'm at right now. So you never get too far ahead on these jobs. What else did we do? Yeah, that's about it. I got the hardware laying out here for generator, so generator's all ready to go. Be wired and all hooked up. Once we figure out what the problem with the generator is going to be. So for now I got to pull these two bolts out right here to get the generator freed up. So there's one more thing you got to work on before you can finish a job. It has a habit of doing that on most every job. Alright, I need two hands here. Hard to work with only one hand. There it is. It's actually my favorite thing. Tripod. Alright, you have to figure out what I'm doing. First thing is the tools. If the gasket's good, it'll stay up. Looks like the gasket's good, it's going to stay up. So means we get to pop it loose to get it off. Okay, let's go over to the other side. Let's see what I'm doing over here. Maybe. Oh, that's tight. Jeez. Gasket's glued in there. Probably because I did it. Yep. See, gasket cinched, the gasket split right down the middle. So I'll just re-goop it up, put it right back, same spot. Okay, now let's see what's wrong with this bolt. It's obviously not the right one. Okay, this appears to be just a regular bolt. The correct bolt has knurls right here that are larger diameter, so when you push in the body of the generator it stays put. You take the bolt in and out. So we'll go ahead and take this out. Change the bolt. You just happen to have the correct one on the other hole that we need, so we'll just flip this around. So this one will stay where it's supposed to be, and the other one will spin, which won't matter because I'll tighten it up, and it won't matter. Okay, that one free. And we'll hammer to knock that out. And a couple more tools while we're at it. Another ratchet and a hammer. Okay, I put the nut on the end of the stud so we don't damage it when we pop it. And you'll make sure the generator does not come apart. So you get a hold of your fingers. So here's the correct one. See, it's got a shoulder right here with knurls on it. So it's a little bit bigger diameter. It's what jams into the body of the generator. So we'll put that on the other side because we need that bolt. Okay. Put this one up here on the top. Just go ahead and tighten it up. Be good to go. And of course the phone's ringing, so they want me. Alright, so we'll do like that. We'll be back. Alright, we're back. Okay, just going to tighten up the one bolt. And beat the other one down on the side so it sits in there where it belongs. The gasket on the floor helps. So you beat that down in there. That engages the splines. Let me go ahead and put it back together. So instead of putting a new gasket back on, we just put some goop back on there. The gasket's torn evenly, so it'll go right back to where it came from. And the goop will reseal it. It's just almost like having another gasket. Go ahead and goop up this side too while I'm at it, just to make it feel better. Alright. I'll go ahead and put this all back up in there. Just rotate the generator a little bit until you feel the bolt go in. Go ahead and get them started. Okay. And you go on the other side. Now when you tighten the generator up, you make sure you hold the generator up square when you put the bolts in. That way you don't screw up the generator threads. It's easy aluminum body and they really easy to screw them up. So if you take the weight off the generator and hold it up where it belongs, you don't have that problem screwing the threads out. Just lightly bring the top one in and get the bottom one. And pull them in. Put some more torque on it. Alright, that's tight. Well, hopefully we won't have a problem on the other side. Because that can always happen. Yeah, where's the washer when you need it? Just a minute. Find me a little washer. Now that we have a longer bolt sticking out, we got room to put a washer over the slot here, so you get a nice good pull down with a nut. Look at that. Almost like it's made for it now. Okay, we're still not going to tighten it yet because we still got to do more work. Okay. I need a little more length for the wires here in the generator. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the tubing back a little bit. Probably about a ½ an inch. Ought to be enough. So that put too much tubing on here before. If I kept the wires all going the same direction, it wouldn't have been a problem, but this one's going to go on 180 degrees, so that means you got to cut it away a little bit. Alright, so now I cut the tubing back a little bit. Should be able to put the wire in there and do what I want to do with it. It's going to be pretty tight in there. I'll go ahead and cut it all the way around. Cut at least a 1/4 inch off of the tubing here. And when you're doing this, you got to make sure you do not cut the wires off. It could be a bad thing. Alright. A little bit more room to work with now. Do a V cut here. Alright, so now we got that in there like that. So like a fire engine out front. The bums around here always have the fire trucks and ammo's going to them. I think they get cold at night, they need attention. Alright, so we got that cut away. We'll mark this back up again. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to put a piece of conduit right here. I want to protect the generator wire, so we got a conduit here. It'd be nice to have a little bit smaller than this, but it's the smallest I can seem to get, which I think is 1/8 inch. And nope, it's 3/16, so I think they made some 1/8 maybe. I guess next time I'll have to buy some 1/8. Alright, so we're going to run this around, figure out how much length I need, get up to a safe working distance. So you want to run it up around, get yourself at least an extra inch to work with. Make sure you don't have too much, so we're going to use that much. I might have to cut it though, because we're going to be able to attach the wire to it also, which is going to be the next problem. Okay, go ahead and run the wire out of the bike here. Gonna make sure you clear everything that needs to be cleared. Pull this off. Pull a little extra wire up right now. It's one advantage of having the wire still on the rule spool down there. I can do that. Okay, gives me a little bit of room to work with here. Otherwise it'd be really tight. Okay. So now we go ahead and strip our wire. Make sure you put your conduits or your shrink tubing sleeve over it. Now this sleeving is extra thick. And it has glue on it. So it's like triple layer thickness, and then on the inside is glue. So when you heat it up, it shrinks down good and it glues the piss out of it. And it makes it so it won't ever come off again. you'll actually tear the insulation off the wire before the shrink tubing will come off. Now I'm just going to take my splice that I already got on here, or I already crimped it on. You notice I get good quality crimpers here. These aren't just squeezed together like on the end, they actually have a titty that squeezes them into a radiused hole. So it puts a good solid crimp on it. Most people just kind of squeeze them flat with a pair of pliers and they wonder why the wires always come out. Got to have the right tools. And after you're done, you give it a good pull. Make sure it's on there good. Okay, then we put our shrink tubing over there where it belongs. Get the heat gun and burn it on. Let's see, I think it's on the other side over there. Let's change our camera location. Probably see more over here anyway. Adjust this here so you get a better idea what we're looking at. Pull back a little bit. Oh, can't pull back. That's as far back as we're going to get. Okay, there's the air gun. Turbocharged shrink gun here. Yeah, put that where I can see so I can see you're filming everything. Okay, you got to make sure you don't overcook the wire. Cheap wire will burn pretty quickly. My wire is pretty high performance, it doesn't matter much. You got to be careful. Okay, we got a good shrink in there. Can't see what it is because you're way too far away. Let's see if I can work this over here. So you can see that's got a real good tight shrink on it and it's glued on. So that's going to give good strain relief to the outer to the wire so it won't break where you crimped it on. So if you got it like that, you can bend the wire all day long, it's not going to break right there. Alright, so you just got to do that. Pull this back a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to slide my conduit up over that. It goes up pretty tight. Okay, so now the red wire is all the way up on there. Gives it more protection. Okay, we got our two wires here. The green one goes in the field, which is the F terminal. The tan one's going on the hot side. Not much to work here, but put a lock washer on here and a nut. This has got the stock brass nuts on here. The stud's a little short, so we only got just enough thread for the nut and that's it. There's no extra material sticking out of the nut after we tighten it. But we do have the lock in there to help hold it all together. Okay, now before you tighten it up, go ahead and put the regulator up on there and see what the best location for the terminal is going to be. So you actually have a better view than what I do. So maybe we put on this side might be better. See, I actually like it better on the inside. Makes our loop a little bit bigger here though, but it's alright. Makes the wires easier to get to, and you can actually get to them. Disadvantage is I wasn't counting on that much red wire being used, but it's not a problem because we have excess. We can bring extra wire up from the back of the spool. We just don't have the conduit on it, that's all. We can put the nut on this side to hold the regulator up on here. I should have access to nuts now on the other side, so one advantage to doing it this way. Plus with the correct stud, I can go ahead and tighten this nut up over here too. See, I'm not going to tighten it all the way up to it until I get the wires on. Alright, come around from this side. Okay, you're going to hold the green wire back. The camera's got to move. So I got to hold the green wire back with my thumb as I tighten the nut. Otherwise you twist the wire around, which will stretch it and cause a problem of breakage. Okay, get some torque on that one. Brown one here, tan one. These are hot wire. Same, you want to hold it with your finger a little bit as you tighten it. Okay. Alright, so now that's all in there like it should be. So you can get up in there and see that or not. Yeah, it's hard to get in there and show you what's going on here, but anyway, they're tucked in there. That's probably the tripod, you can't see a damn thing. There. Go where I can see better. So you can see how the nut's right there, got the wire coming straight out. This one's right here, going straight up the back. So we don't have these under any kind of a bind condition. Then we got our conduit wrapping around the back, which goes down. And then it's down here. Oop. Pull that back. So you can see the red wire down here. So I'm going to pull that down a little bit right now. I do that by going all the way in the back and pulling up the excess wire. See how that works? Okay, now I come back around here and see how much extra wire I want to have, because I want to have a little bit of extra wire. Alright. I don't want it to be really, really tight. Let's see, how much room can we do? Yeah, actually, we can move the generator around pretty good. I'll pull up another 1/2 inch of that out of there. Okay, so we got a little extra wire. Let's see how much we can generate here. Actually, I can pull that all out. I got enough slack on the generator, I shouldn't have a problem. So I'll go ahead and pull it up all. There we go. Alright. Pull it off of here so we can see what's going on a little better. Stupid tripods are not worth a squat for showing anything. Okay, so now you can see how the conduit wire goes around. And you can see how it goes, circles around the generator. It goes into the harness right down there. You can see a little bit of red left over. And we still got some flex in here. See, here's our cable. So we still got room up here. It's not tight or bound up. And we still have a little bit of flex in the conduit. We can move the housing here. We can move this up and down a little bit if we need to. Okay, so that's how you do that one. Now the point wire, which is this one right next to it, will wind up doing the same thing. Once I figure out where it's going to be, I'll cut this, and I can go ahead and put some conduit over this to protect the wire going back across the cylinder in here. because if that rubs through anywhere and shorts out, we won't have any ignition. So we'll have to do the same thing like we just did over here. We'll run another piece of conduit across and protect it. So it's all simple stuff to do. You just got to do it. And so now all you see right now is just this little conduit underneath here, and everything else is tucked up all out of the way. Looks pretty good. Yet it's still very easy to get to fix it and trace it. Unlike when you put it through a stupid hole in the frame, which makes the frame break, and then hide it, then you got a sharp edge, it eats through the wire, cause all kinds of problems. So just figure how to do it without doing that would be your best option. That's why I don't like putting stuff through the frame. Okay, we got this hanging out right here, which can be twisted around a little bit. Good to go. Go ahead and tighten this nut up under here a little bit. So now that I got the correct stud in the generator, I can just tighten this up like this. And we'll put a little torque on it. Like that. And we're tight. You double check to make sure nothing got squeezed. You can see how the nuts are still above the bracket. It's close up under there, but there's room. See how close that brass nut is to underneath that bolt? So there you go. Now the new problem is see how we now are hitting the fin right there. So that is not a good thing to be doing. So now what we got to do is we got to go in here, we're going to have to file the regulator away right here, because you can't have it rubbing on your motor. That is not good. So now we get to pull this back off and we'll make an adjustment. So maybe over here and grab a file. Let's see here, I'm thinking of something a little more aggressive here. Yeah, one of these two ought to do it. Those look like the appropriate ones. Okay, we'll get the tripod over here again. There's no way I can hold a file and hold the camera together, so let's get this thing back over here. Get a lot of back and forth action on here. It also takes longer to do a job when you film it. So now we got this here. We get to take this back off. We can't go very far because the wires are in the way, but looks like it rotates down just enough. I can come in here and knock this edge off. Now I got an idea of what distance I need by having the file in here, and I cut it, file at the same angle the cylinder's at. Alright. Another thing I noticed is I could have just moved it slide to side a little bit, but that's alright. It looks better filed anyway. See, that's what happens when you're paying attention to the camera instead of what you're doing. But either way, I filed it. So it looks better to me anyway. See, now we got a nice clearance in here. Matches the cylinder. Got a little extra gap. So everything's good. See, they had this thing all slotted out, so there's still room to move it down. So, but anyway, it doesn't hurt to file things a little bit. You want to make sure you got a good gap in there so you don't rub on anything. You also don't want to have the cylinder heat getting to your regulator. It's not good for them. It looks like I got something jammed in here. Yeah. Part of a piece of wire. Didn't need that in there. Okay, so this side here is done. Now back here, this is our hot wire, which we just got done doing. So this is going to wind up going to the battery, or it's going to go to a circuit breaker, which I have not put in down here yet. And that should have been done before the box went in, and probably before a lot of other stuff got done. So we'll see what it takes to put a breaker down over there. Yeah, if it's too hard to do, we'll just skip it and not do it, but we'll see. And I'm going to leave this loose like this, so I got plenty of room to play with it. So that one is done, which is this spool right down here. That's our positive wire. Stay over there. So Gotta take that out of the way. See, now my toes are all tangled up in it. There we go. Okay, now these other 4 wires here are the other ones that will be hooking up on the front up over here. That'd be the ones coming out over here. So we gotta work on those too. And we need to figure out what we're gonna do with all this mess coming down here. We got all these wires coming down from the top side. And I'm gonna have to put these all into a Deutsch connector and probably put a little bit more conduit over this so you don't have to look at it because it ended right up in here. And there's no real hollow spot in here. Now, I don't really want to put it down here in the front of the frame because it might get in the way of the fork lock, which looks like we don't have very much of a way of a fork lock here. Let's see, they're probably using this for the fork lock up here, it looks like. Boom, boom. So I can bring this around like this and hide under the gas tank, or I can bring it down the front and have it come in there like this. So I kind of like it coming down here hidden. The only problem is I'm not sure about how much room we got in here for the fork lock. Doesn't feel like it's hit it, but that doesn't mean you have much room either. So the only way we can figure that out is we have to get the bike off the rack here a little bit, at least enough I can turn the wheel, and see which way we're going to go. Because we need to figure that out before we wire it. Because you don't want that in there, and you definitely don't want it up in here in the way of this one up here. So going over the top is not always the best. It's real close. But we'll see. I gotta see what kind of tank clearance we got up under here. Maybe we got a lot of room up in the gas tank. So we need to put the tank up on there also and see what we got to work with. So you got to figure out how to do all this stuff. That's why we got this one right up to here for now. So these ones up here, I can go ahead and get to terminate these ones up here for the Deutsch connector, and then figure out which one goes in here. So more stuff to figure out. So sounds like a job to do tomorrow. It's getting to be late. It's not really. It's only 9:30. It's supposed to rain tonight. I'd rather not be in the rain going home. So anyway, I'll figure out where all this stuff is. I'll back the bike up, check my gas tank clearances, check my fork clearances here, get all these things figured out before I figure out what I'm going to do with all these wires. Like, you need to know what's going to happen beforehand. It's not good to wait to the very last minute and then you find out you got problems. Kind of like the generator bolt was in wrong. We didn't know until it was too late. That's okay, we fixed it. Alright, so that's how you go. We'll continue with this tomorrow, and I'll probably start on the Deutsch connector first and get this part of the harness done up in here. So that'll get all of that on the bike at least. So, alright, that's it for now. We're done.